but the planet Venus, which is the brightest object in the night sky other than the moon. And we once thought that astronauts would use the lush tropical environment of Venus to...
NASA has teamed up with Silicon Valley billionaires to make this a reality.
When Michio Kaku, the renowned theoretical physicist and futurist, revealed a trove of declassified photos from Venus captured by the Soviet Union, the scientific world was jolted into a mix of awe and astonishment. These images, long buried in the vaults of history, suddenly emerged into public consciousness like fragments of an alien dream, concrete proof of a distant world, observed not by Western agencies, but by the formidable and secretive Soviet space program. The revelations rippled not only through the scientific community, but also through the imaginations of countless individuals who had long speculated about what Venus truly looked like beyond its shrouding clouds. And now, after decades of obscurity, the veil was finally lifting. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The images, as Kaku presented them, were not simple artistic renditions or computer-generated interpretations. They were raw, gritty, analog photographs taken by the Soviet Venera missions, snapshots from the surface of another planet. These were the first and only actual photographs of Venus's surface ever taken by humanity, making them not just rare but irreplaceably significant. The Soviet Union, in its Cold War fervor, had succeeded where no other nation had. They had not only landed on Venus, but managed to transmit real images back to Earth, battling extreme temperatures, crushing atmospheric pressure, and a corrosive environment that would melt most earthly metals in minutes. What was so remarkable about these photos was how profoundly alien they appeared. The surface of Venus, depicted in grainy black and white and harshly lit tones, resembled the setting of a dystopian science fiction narrative more than any place imaginable in our solar system. Jagged rocks, flattened terrain, and a thick haze permeated the landscape, a world choked in sulfuric clouds and scorched by temperatures hot enough to melt lead. These weren't just snapshots. They were windows into a furnace-like realm that challenges every conventional understanding of planetary geology and atmospheric science. As Kaku elaborated, the technical achievement of capturing these images was staggering. The Venera landers had to be engineered like nothing before them, encased in high-strength titanium, equipped with advanced pressure vessels, and outfitted with heat shields capable of withstanding an atmospheric inferno. The Soviet engineers knew they were sending machines into a place that bordered on the inhospitable, and they crafted their robotic explorers accordingly. These landers operated under unimaginable stress, and yet they persevered, capturing not only visuals, but also vital atmospheric and chemical data that added depth to what the photographs revealed. The declassified images were more than mere curiosities. They were empirical records of a place as hostile as any imagined hell. The Soviet landers lasted only minutes on the surface, some for just over an hour. But that brief window was enough to transmit the only direct views of Venus humanity has ever received. For decades, these images were held under lock and key, obscured by bureaucracy and the closed nature of the Soviet regime. Only now, decades later, with Kaku bringing them into the light, are they receiving the recognition they deserve. Each image tells a silent story. The cracked slabs of rock lying askew, the sharp shadows cast by a low and diffused sun, the eerie stillness of a world without wind or water erosion. These details invite speculation and analysis. The lighting, filtered through a dense cloud cover, lends the scenes an otherworldly glow, casting the entire landscape in a dim, rust-colored hue. The Venera photos hint at geological processes that differ from anything familiar on Earth. There are no riverbeds, no erosion patterns typical of wind or water, only volcanic plains and mysterious fissures that suggest a history of seismic upheaval. For planetary scientists, these images are pure gold. They provide clues into Venus's past. Perhaps a time when the planet had oceans, or at least more Earth-like conditions, before a runaway greenhouse effect transformed it into a smoldering wasteland. The fine details observed in the rocks and soil, even in the grainy textures, raise tantalizing questions about Venus's volcanic activity, the composition of its crust, and how its geological evolution diverged so drastically from Earth's. These are more than static pictures. They are historical records, geological maps, and time capsules from a world once possibly similar to our own. The implications of releasing these images stretch far beyond academic curiosity. For decades, public perception of Venus has been shaped by radar maps and artistic renderings, vague outlines of terrain interpreted through layers of computer modeling. These declassified photos anchor Venus in reality. They strip away the abstract and force a confrontation with the concrete and the tangible. This is what it really looks like to stand, if one could survive, on the surface of the second planet from the Sun. That alone reframes the entire narrative of planetary exploration. Moreover, Kaku's presentation of these images wasn't merely a matter of scientific disclosure, it was a reassertion of the value of space history. The Cold War era, so often remembered for its tensions and brinkmanship, also represented a golden age of exploration conducted under conditions of extraordinary secrecy. Now, with the barriers of ideology and time slowly dissolving, remnants of that era are being re-examined not as propaganda tools, but as genuine milestones in human achievement. The fact that the Soviet Union, not NASA, not ESA, not any of the modern players, was the only entity to have photographed the surface of Venus adds a layer of historical irony that underscores the complexity of technological advancement in the 20th century. The mystique surrounding Venus has always been profound. For centuries it was known as the morning star, the brightest object in the night sky after the moon, often associated with beauty, mystery, and even divine femininity. Yet beneath its glowing exterior lies a world of violence, volcanoes, acid rain, and oppressive heat. The duality of Venus, both as a beacon of light and a symbol of planetary devastation, captures the imagination in a way few celestial bodies can. The release of these photos deepens that dichotomy. The beauty of their scientific significance clashes with the horror of what they depict. A place utterly inimical to life, yet captivating in its stark alien grandeur. Kaku's unveiling also speaks to the broader narrative of lost or hidden knowledge. For too long, these visuals were trapped behind iron curtains and bureaucratic inertia. They represent a treasure trove that could have inspired generations had they been shared earlier. Instead, they now arrive in a world already rich with digital simulations and high-resolution planetary mapping, offering a rare taste of something raw and unfiltered. In their imperfection, they feel more authentic, like the first photographs of the Moon or Mars, rich not in polish, but in the promise of exploration. To think that these images were taken using technology from the 1970s is to appreciate the ingenuity of the engineers and scientists who made it possible. These were analog systems, operating on simple electronics and brute mechanical design. There were no microprocessors or digital sensors, just cleverly crafted lenses, timing circuits, and rugged construction. That such archaic machinery could survive even momentarily on Venus is a testament to human perseverance and vision. The revelation of these photos also forces a reckoning with the way history remembers space exploration. In Western narratives, the Apollo missions dominate, Mars rovers are celebrated, and Hubble's telescopic glory is a modern marvel. But Venus, largely ignored in popular discourse, becomes newly important through these rediscovered Soviet efforts. It raises the question of what other forgotten or classified data might exist, hidden gems in the archives of governments or space agencies waiting to reshape our understanding of the cosmos. And while no new missions to Venus have yet replicated the Soviet success of surface imaging, the timing of this release could not be more poignant. With both NASA and international partners setting their sights once again on Venus, the urgency to revisit and reinterpret these photos becomes paramount. They serve not only as historical artifacts, but as operational data, reference points for future landers, benchmarks for thermal resistance, and lessons in resilience. Kaku's role in bringing these images to the forefront also underscores the importance of science communicators in our modern age. It takes a rare voice to bridge the gap between esoteric knowledge and public engagement by showcasing the photos, explaining their origin, and contextualizing their importance. He transforms what could be a niche discovery into a global moment. Suddenly, people around the world are looking at Venus with new eyes, not as a blurry orb in a telescope, but as a real place, a landscape documented, understood, and eventually perhaps visited again. The photos, even in their graininess, reveal more than rock and atmosphere. They whisper of ancient forces and untouched silence. They suggest a world where time is frozen under pressure and heat, where the crust bears the scars of volcanic fury but no trace of biological life. They force us to confront what lies beyond Earth not with fantasy, but with the sobering realization that nature's diversity includes not just beauty and life, but also unimaginable hostility. In that sense, the photos do more than show Venus. They show us ourselves, our need to explore, to document, to endure. They remind us of a time when reaching the surface of another planet was not a hypothetical, but a tangible goal, achieved through grit and raw ambition. They make us wonder, if this was possible in the past, what might be possible now, if only we direct our collective efforts with equal resolve. Through Michio Kaku's revelation, a forgotten chapter of space history is reopened, its pages singed with heat and written in the language of rock and light. There is no need for embellishment, no science fiction flourish, just the stark reality of another world, captured through the lens of a lander that braved the most hellish conditions in the solar system to show us what lies beyond. Venus, once a myth and now a known inferno, speaks again through these images. And the world listens. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on these declassified Venus photos? What do you expect next? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.